Hello, my dear students. So this is your English teacher, Ma'am Jane. And in this recorded video, I will be explaining to you quarter number 1, module number 1 entitled Supplying Other Words or Expressions That Complete an Analogy. So in this particular module, our main focus will be analogy. So later, I will be explaining to you what an analogy is. Okay, so to begin with, let us first have what I need to know. So under what I need to know, you can find the objectives in a particular module. So in our module number 1, the objectives are the following. First, you will learn to define analogy. So later, when we discuss the meaning of analogy, please listen carefully for you to easily define what analogy is. Next, you will learn to analyze relationships presented in analogy. So remember, class, that this one is very important, analyzing the relationships in an analogy for you to better answer or for you to answer the activities correctly in this module. Because usually the activities are all about supplying other words or expressions that complete an analogy. Okay, so just like what I said in our subject orientation, so in this module or in module number 1, all you need to do is to answer the following. So you need to answer what's more. So remember, under what's more, all you need to do is to answer independent assessments number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay? Next, we have what I can do. Also, you need to answer the assessment part. And the last one, you need to answer the additional activities part. Okay, so to begin, let us have now the what is it part. So remember, students, the what is it part in your module is the most important part because it usually contains the clear or the detailed explanation about the topic. So just like what I said, our topic is all about analogy. So analogy, remember, students, is a relationship or a comparison between words. So it is a comparison of two different things to show their similarities. Okay, so we have here an example. So we have here young, colon, old, and we have two colons here, implicit, colon, explicit. But for you to read that analogy correctly, we need to change colon and this colon into is to, and these two colons into as. So when we read that, it should be young is to old, as implicit is to explicit. Okay? So in this analogy, we have two parts. So this is the first part, and this is the second part. So according to the meaning, they are two different things, but they should be similar. The relationship here should be similar to the relationship of these two words. Okay? So again, this is an example of analogy. And remember that we have two parts in analogy, the first part and the second part. The first part, you need to analyze their relationship, and their relationship should be similar to the second part. Okay? So that's the reason why we said that young is the opposite of old, while implicit is the opposite of explicit. So they are both opposite. Okay? So now let's go on to the next part. So we have 10 relationships in analogy, and we will be discussing them one by one. So to begin with, let us have number 1. So number 1 is synonym. So I know you are very much familiar with the word synonym. When we say synonym, those are the words with the same meaning. Okay? Same meaning or similar. So here is an example of analogy under synonym. So we have here find is to locate. So they are similar. When you find it, you locate it. And the other one, lose, is to misplace. Okay? So you have two pairs that are similar. Next, we have here a practice. So for you to better understand analogy, which is synonym, let us have this practice. So it says, deafening is too loud. So of course, kapag nakakabingi, it is very loud. So they are synonym, they are similar. So since they are similar, we need to find the synonym or the similar word to fast. So what do you think is the similar word to the word fast? Of course, the answer is quick. So in that particular moment, we complete that analogy. So the correct answer should be, deafening is too loud, as fast is too quick. Okay? So now, let us go on to number 2. Number 2 is antonym. So when we say antonym, these are two things that are opposites. They have different meaning. Okay, so here is an example. So we have here, kind is to cruel, as happy is to sad. So very obvious. If you are kind, the opposite of that is being not kind or cruel. As happy, of course, happy, you are happy. And the opposite of that, you are sad. So that is antonym. So here we have antonym. Of course, in the second part, we also have antonym. So let us have a practice. So we have here, open is to close, as near is to blank. So if it is near, what do you think is the opposite of that? Of course, the opposite is far. Okay? So remember that. So since in this particular part, we found out that the relationship is antonym, so therefore we need to apply that relationship here. So that's the reason why the answer is far. So I hope everything is clear. So now, let us go on to number 3. So number 3 is all about part and whole. So a part or whole relationship shows two things connected. One is a part of the other. So we have here an example. So of course, chapter is the part of a novel, or in other words, chapter is to novel, as stanza is to poem. Okay? So in other words, if we will apply number 3, you might say chapter is a part of a novel, as stanza is a part of a poem. Okay? So let us have example here. So blank is to hand, as toe is to foot. So if you will notice, toe is a part of a foot. How about this one? Blank is a part of a hand. So of course, the answer here is fingers, or finger, since this is singular. So finger is to hand, as toe is to foot. Okay? Now, let us go on to number 4. So number 4 is all about cause and effect. So in Tagalog, it means sanhi at bunga. So remember class that cause and effect, a cause explains why something happened, while an effect explains the result. So just like here, we have an example here. If we have sanitation, or if we always wash our hands, so the result of that, we can prevent diseases. Okay? So if we have heavy rain, the result of that is flood. So that is cause and effect. This one, cause and effect. So for you to better understand number 4, cause and effect, let us have this example. So of course, if you study, what is the result? You will pass. This is the cause and this is the effect. As if you are hungry, what do you think is the result? What do you think is the effect? Of course, the effect is you will eat. So the correct analogy should be study is to pass, as hungry is to eat. Okay? So now, let us go on to number 5. So number 5 is all about characteristics slash quality. So people and things are usually described by their special qualities or characteristics. Just describe. Okay? Nilalarawan. For example, we have here factual. So when we say factual, it is true. So factual is to article, as fictitious is to fable. So in other words, factual, true, is to article, fictitious or imaginary is to fable. So that is characteristic. You just describe fable and article or news. So now, let us have this practice or another example. So we will just describe. So silk is to smooth as cotton is to blank. So what do you think is the proper description for cotton? Of course, cotton is so soft. So the correct answer should be silk is to smooth as cotton is to soft. Okay? Also, we have here another degrees or another relationships in analogy. We have number 6, degree. Just like level, degree. We have level 1, level 2, level 3, just like that. So we have here warm is to hot, as cold is to freezing. So degree. So warm is to hot, as cold is to freezing. Next, number 7, we have tool and worker. So the tool that is being used by the worker. Just like this one, pen is being used by the writer, as instrument is being used by the musician. So in other words, pen is to writer, as instrument is to musician. Number 8, we have classification. So all you need to do is to classify. Okay, so we have here jazz is to music or pop is to music, as rainy is to season. You will just classify music and season. Okay? Or in other words, for example, Marian Rivera is to actress, as Ding Dong Dantes is to actor. Okay? Next, we have here item slash purpose. So the item is scissors, and the purpose or the use of the scissors is to cut. Truck is to transport. So that is the purpose or use. And number 10, we have here worker and product. So for example, we have here the worker, the architect. The product of the architect is blueprint. So the architect is doing blueprint, as sculptor is doing statue. So that is worker and product. So I hope everything is clear, students. So if you have questions, please don't be shy to ask me. Okay? So in our GC, I will be explaining to you the activities that you are going to answer for this particular module number 1 in the first grading period. Okay, goodbye everyone and keep safe.